Today on FSI, we're talking Bucs vs Saints. The Bucs are on the road in this matchup. I'm your host, Tom Cross, and to my right is our analytics expert, Stephen Fu.
Thanks for joining us this week. The Saints are -4 on the spread, -210 on the money line, and the Bucs are +175.
The Bucs are -4, and I feel like the odds makers are pushing you to take them. If it was -3, it was more of an even game, but it's forcing the Saints to win by 6 or 7 points. Now, the Bucs +75 is a great value. I do feel like the Saints are a little overvalued at -210. I think it should be closer to -180.
The Saints -4 over the Bucs is a fair number considering they're at home. There will be no fans in attendance because of COVID, but the road team still has to travel, and I think that factored into the spread. With the hype of Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski joining the team, the Bucs money line will draw in a lot of wagers.
Brees enters 2020 at age 41, and he's been on a serious decline. In 2017, he had 600 pass attempts, 500 in 2018, and just last year, it's all the way down to 400 attempts. He did complete 74% of his passes and had a QBR of 116, but those numbers will decline, and you'll see more of Taysom Hill in a run-pass gimmick offense. They did add Emmanuel Sanders to the lineup, and it's been years since he's had a solid number 2 receiver option.
Tom Brady was not very efficient last season, finishing with only a 60% completion rate. However, he did have over 4,000 passing yards and 24 touchdowns. The reason for his poor performance was because of his inadequate receiving core. His top 3 receivers were Julian Edelman, James White, and Philip Dorsett. Now, James White is a running back in New England, and he was the second best option. That's a big tell of just how deficient they were.
The Saints' offensive line is one of the best in the league. Last year, they only allowed 25 sacks, and that effort ranked 3rd best. In the first round, they picked up guard Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan, so I don't expect that offensive group to be on the decline at all. Now, on the other side of the ball, they are featuring a dominant Bucs defensive line that features Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett, and Ndamukong Suh. Barrett had 19.5 sacks last year. He led the league. My final take on this matchup that it's a draw. It's going to be very interesting to see which position group dominates this battle.
Brady's protection will be a polar opposite of what he had in New England. They were top 5 with the Patriots, however, his receivers there couldn't get any separation, so it didn't matter how well they were performing. Even though his line isn't great here with the Bucs, he'll get the ball out much quicker than before. The Bucs offense will be challenged by Cameron Jordan, so it will not be easy holding off this front. Brady will need quick release time and precision to beat this team.
The Saints wide receiver core begins and ends with Mike Thomas. He was a monster last year and had 1,700 yards receiving. Ted Ginn was 2nd in wide receiver targets, and that's pathetic. Now, in the offseason, they did grab Emmanuel Sanders, so that's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Running back Alfred Kamara had 81 receptions, but he did lack that first step explosiveness that we are accustomed to seeing out of his rookie season. Tampa Bay's secondary was bottom 5 in yards given up and first downs, but it's very hard to be good when you have a quarterback that throws a ball to the other team constantly. Now, on the back end, they did add rookie Antoine Winfield Jr., and I think Tom Brady really helps out this unit because he doesn't turn over the ball much. Overall, the Saints do have an advantage here, but don't be surprised if you see Tampa Bay's secondary perform well because they are playing against Drew Brees, who is on a decline.
Tampa Bay has 3 receivers that can lead the team, and 2 of them had over 1,000 receiving yards last year. Brady will be very happy with this new team that comprises of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Rob Gronkowski. The Saints, they struggle tremendously at the defensive back position. Lattimore is the only reliable player. They did add Malcolm Jenkins, but he's already been in the league for over 10 years. I'll be surprised if he can keep up with that same level of production.
The Saints' run game is one of the most versatile in the league. It features Alfred Kamara, Latavius Murray, and Taysom Hill. Now, Kamara did have a down year last year, only averaging 57 yards a game. But lucky for the Saints, they like to screen it out and also run a QB draws with Taysom Hill. They are facing a dominant Bucs D-line who was top 3 in the league and only allowed 3.3 yards per attempt. Linebackers Devin White and Levante David are going to be very good against the Saints screen game. I like the Bucs in this matchup.
There's not that much to look at for Tampa's run game. They were not good last year and rely on 2 rookies for rushing this year. The offense is just not designed for the run. However, you might see a higher efficiency since the linebackers will be forced to defend the pass. Kiko Alonso also suffered his 3rd ACL tear, so I expect his performance to go down this season. The run defense shouldn't factor too much into this matchup.
I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this matchup, and I'm going to buy the extra point up to 5. It's going to force the Saints to win by 6 or 7 points. Now, at the end of the day, I like Tampa Bay's weapons better than the Saints. I also feel like Tampa Bay's linebackers and defensive line will take away the Saints' run game, forcing Drew Brees to win the game, and I don't like those odds. Now, the things to look for are Tampa Bay's offensive line performance and their secondary. On the Saints side of the ball, I'm going to be interested to see how well Drew Brees performs, what Emmanuel Sanders means to this offense, and if Alfred Kamara has that first explosive step like he did in his rookie year.
Bucs +4 is a great option to take. They made the most improvements coming into the season, adding 2 future Hall of Famers. We also know both teams can score, so it might come down to that 1-score game. There's also a noticeable decline in Brees' mechanical abilities and on-field decision-making. His margin of error will be much lower because of his height when comparing him to other starting quarterbacks.